Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. It looks like this is my last video. The whole purpose was to be a warning voice. It wasn't just to complain and whine and argue that the church is the church of the devil. The warning voice is like those of the Book of Mormon. Nephi, Abinadi, Samuel the Lamanite, because the presidents of the church aren't doing their job, are they? They didn't warn you of anything that's going on, have they? In fact, Elder Oaks has been supporting the Kavanaugh appointment. If you heard his October conference after that controversial vote where Mormon boy flaked out, made everybody think that he was going to vote against Kavanaugh with the woman who confronted him in the elevator, and then, oops, haha, fooled you. So, the warnings are over with. What I was warning about is done. It's been completed, it's finished, it's over. The government has collapsed, the church has collapsed, it's over. So there's nothing more to warn. I've been trying to let you know that that's why the church was organized in the first place. That 1826, with the disappearance of William Morgan, emerges an organization naming themselves the Church of Christ originally, and became the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then they had a book that seemed to have that warning message in it, with the Gadianton robbers and the Kingmen, Master Mayhem being talked about. And, but that was the threat to America back then. The Illuminati, organized on the 1st of May, 1776, had been going around destroying nation after nation so that they could install a central bank and run the nation. He who has the money has the power, and they control the leadership, and they did it here in America. But then Congress said, we're not going to do the bank anymore, we're not going to renew it. And Nathan Rothschild was pissed, and the War of 1812 commenced, despite Trump thinking it was Canada that burned down the White House. And that was the threat to America, that the Illuminati were going to infiltrate America through the Scottish Rites Masons to then get into politics, run for office, and then rise up in power to eventually take over the presidency and restore the monarchy with the destruction of America and establishment of the central bank. Now, they got the central bank, didn't they? But they didn't have full control of the government quite yet. But they wanted to develop America first, expand westward, build up large cities, large amounts of people, because that would be more devastating, more of a show to slaughter so many people with the takeover. And so Joseph Smith understood this, the whole origin group. Joseph Smith Sr., Joseph Smith Jr., Oliver Cowdery, Hiram Smith, and Sidney Rigdon. the one who's the author of the Book of Mormon. They knew of this threat to America and purposely organized the church to build up an army for when our day occurred, when the Constitution would hang by a thread, that the elders of Israel would step forward as the army of Israel to save America. But as President Ezra Taft Benson declared at BYU devotional, the Constitution would not be saved by the Mormons in Washington. So, sorry, Mitt, even though you were triggered by my information about Mosiah 29, as you went and said that you're deeply religious, which is what you meant. I understood it. And now the Mormons hate you. Now the whole GOP hates you. Now you're a part of the resistance. But yeah, I understood what you meant when you said you agreed with Trump's policies. God. You were a kingman conflicted by the church with what Joseph Smith prophesied, which was not a prophecy. It was the threat back then. They knew they were going to reemerge in the future. And so when Joseph Smith was murdered, and Brigham Young, who was of the Scottish Rites, he muscled his way to dominate the church. Guess what date the Nauvoo Temple was dedicated? And I'll give you a hint, Mormons. It was not April 6th, which Mormons anticipated and expected. And Alphaeus Cutler, who was a part of the Quorum of the 12, the actual Quorum of the 12 under Joseph, it was called the High Council. Alphaeus Cutler refused to follow Brigham because of that incident. That's where Alphaeus Cutler separated. Said, no, Brigham's not the true successor. Joseph Smith had revealed to me that I needed to look for a sign in the heaven that would indicate the time to restore the church. See, Joseph was recognizing in his final months that he was not the Messiah as he originally had thought he was. To restore the kingdom, to build up the New Jerusalem, to be the Messiah, to do it. Because that's what the Jews were looking for. They were looking for the Messiah so that they can have the temple rebuilt, and he would be the world leader, the Donald, to protect the Jews, and establish them, and everything would be peaceful for a millennium. But nope, the Illuminati had other plans for the world. And they infiltrated the Scottish Rites organization in the same manner that they infiltrated the American government and all other governments. So that was the threat. So yeah, May 1st was when the Nauvoo Temple was dedicated, on that anniversary. And so the pentagrams, for those of you who are like concerned, why does the Salt Lake Temple and the Nauvoo Temple have inverted pentagrams? Isn't that satanic symbol? Well, yes. Yes, it is. That's why. It's because the church was infiltrated. And Joseph was murdered. So that a person could take over the church and violate Jesus' warning in Matthew 24. Don't follow a man into the desert when he says that God has ordered him to. And Brigham Young took those who he extorted, and the women were threatened with their survival because women can't take care of themselves back in those days. They needed a man to take care of them. And so Brigham Young said, hey, we'll seal you to the dead Joseph Smith. You'll be sealed to me. You'll be sealed to Heber C. Kimball, my right-hand man, who was also a master mason before the church was organized back in the 1826 anti-Mason movement. And as long as you follow us, we'll take care of you. As long as I get to have sex with all of you. And then I built brothels on Commerce Street, which is also Regent Street, so that I can have sex with even more women, because I'm not satisfied with 50. And besides, I need comfort after all the wives that are divorcing me. But yeah, that's how Brigham Young did it. He said, oh, it was Joseph Smith's doctrine. It's not my doctrine, it's Joseph Smith. He's the one that made all these plans and changes. I'm just implementing them now that he's dead. And so now the church says, oh yeah, it was Joseph Smith, all right. Yeah, he did it. It wasn't Brigham Young. No, he was authorized by God. He was the true successor, even though he didn't follow the true succession given to Joseph Smith in Revelation in section 107, verses 21 and 22. That's how it's supposed to be done. So when the church says that members of the church in General Conference vote for the president, what? That's not a vote. Exactly. That's exactly right. It's not a vote. The Melchizedek priesthood are supposed to gather together, Adam-on-Diamond, the big priesthood meeting, and vote for the new president of the church. And in fact, the whole presidency they're supposed to vote for. They don't get to have the president choose his counselors. The Melchizedek priesthood chooses his counselors. That's the way it was supposed to have been, and it was not followed. So guess what that means, Mormons? It means Brigham Young was not authorized. It means everything is fraudulent. That means every successor of Brigham Young is also fraudulent. And so now go and reread section 85, verse 7. I, the Lord, will call one mighty and strong, and have the scepter of power for government leadership, and restore the temple, having high priesthood leadership. See, the bishop that's everybody had assumed, and Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. had made the first presidency statement declaring, oh, it was just for that bishop. No, bishops are not the government leaders of the whole world, and they are not the president of the church. The bishop has no power over temples. That's why you're wondering. That's why Mormons separated themselves, because they were realizing, hey, that's right, Joseph Smith did this, but Brigham Young put it in the year before he died. It was in the times and seasons, so it's verified as Joseph's. But this is what I've been warning you guys about. This is why I did the church history and said, oh my God, Mormons, wake up. This is why I knew when the announcement of the 21st of August 2017 total solar eclipse was going to occur. I went, oh my God, people need to know about this. The sun shall be darkened and the moon turned to blood. Blood, mother, the blood. And that's exactly what all of you thought of me. Everybody thought I was Norman Bates, like in high school. A clean-cut young man who's actually a psycho. It was a great story with the sequel, number 2. They had something going there. That was an excellent sequel, because Norman Bates may not have been guilty. But I'm digressing. This is my last video. And so, Putin is having his May Day celebration for Russia, who has the seal of the Scottish Rites, the 33rd degree, the two-headed eagle that people mocked Trump with when he came to visit their school, and invited Trump. Come on over, Trump. We're celebrating our victory over America. So yes, I've played the role of Abinadi as I spoke out against the government and the church. King Noah was the government leader and the religious leader, and was disappeared for 6 years. That's the basis for the lawsuit, and I won. And so there's nothing more to be said about that now. And I played the role of Samuel Elimelech as I warned everybody about the signs that are going to come before the coming of the Messiah. Not the second coming of Jesus, the Messiah. And you guys are like all shocked. What? We're offended. We're throwing thumbs down stones and shooting thumbs down arrows at you as you stand upon the wall. And so now the time's over. And so I don't know, I don't have any place to go. I'm from Utah now, having moved here back in 1996, in August 1996, after I graduated from the University of Lethbridge. No, I'm not Canadian. I'm not a descendant of those who burned down the White House in 1812. I'm a Southern Californian, born in Oakland. Then my dad got the job replacing the scandalous termination of the Ford's financial accountant, thanks to the Pinto. And we moved to Michigan, and then he had to leave. He was well aware of the scandal and how the process works in our automotive industry, which is spread throughout all industries. They purposely make faulty products so that people continue to buy their product because it keeps breaking down. But with auto mechanics, that's how they kept them alive, is that certain parts of the automobile would give out and you'd be forced to go to a mechanic if you didn't know how to order the part from the main store in the first place. It's all an economic scam. And so we traveled to Southern California, stayed in my mom's parents' mansion there in Ventura, and until my dad found a job, and we lived there in Placentia, and there I experienced my first pornography as a little kid. Oh, the harm! It burns! I've been damaged for life. So yes, I've been warning you about the idolatry that's been going on. Then we moved to Corona, and I went to Norco, which is North Corona. Became an Eagle Scout. Yep, and then ran away from my home because, I realized my parents were Nazis, white supremacists. Good Mormon parents, therefore they were white supremacist Nazis. Because it's simple to me. I understood the doctrine of the church. Lucifer's plan of happiness is to force people to obey. You take away agency and you force people to obey. It didn't take a genius to make the connections. When you're in my house, you'll obey my rules. Very simple, not complicated. Because Heavenly Father's plan of happiness was agency. Okay, you don't want to be married and have an eternal family? That's fine by me. They thought I was gay. Because the 80s were all about the church and the gay conversion therapy. My uncle decided, my Barbie doll wife and my Barbie doll little girls, want nothing more to do with them. I'm going to Southern California to be gay. Well, they lived in Southern California too, and then she eventually moved to Utah. And so, my parents then thought I was gay because the church was telling all about psychologists who were saying, if they have these signs, they're gay. And so, if they listen to Depeche Mode, they're gay. It's the gay agenda. They're turning everybody gay. Gay. So my dad comes in and has the poster of Farrah Fawcett. Doesn't she look attractive, Travis? Doesn't she? Doesn't she? Do you have a boner? Are you excited about her? Dad, leave. She's too old. I like that Jennifer from the Labyrinth movie. Jennifer Connelly. She was more my age. So she was the one I was more interested in. And the woman from The Boy Who Could Fly. She was also one I was interested in. And the little redheaded girl from the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show. And the Wendy's girl. So yes, I liked redheads. But there was no way I'm telling my parents. Are you kidding me? And so yes, they thought I was gay. And so they were all shocked when I had to go to the prom in order to prove I'm not gay. And Cynthia Pollard is who I selected, because the Mormon girls were all chosen. So, anyway. Alrighty, so that was life growing up Mormon. Then I married a woman straight out of Rick's, because I fled my family, went to Rick's. They paid for it, didn't care. I was going. And so then I went on my mission to New York, New York. So had to come home temporarily to give the mission farewell during the Mother's Day church. And then at the end of my mission with Creole Coford, who became the member of the first Quorum of 70 while he was on his mission. And it was because of his turnaround of the New York mission. Missionaries were baptizing on average 200 a month. Each and every single missionary. 200 a month. Except for me. Wonder why. It must be because I'm evil. has nothing to do with the story for another day. But yeah, immediately signed up to go back to Rick's. And so I came home. Parents were all upset with me. And I passed up on Michelle Binns, passed up on Leanne Murdoch, and that I regret. She was perfect for Mormon standards. Relief Society president, president of the sorority, woman of the year, was studying childhood development, and most of all, she made time for me. So I hung out with her whenever I could. And it was because she met me during a rainstorm as I was heading to the Man-Wearing Center for dinner. She came up behind me with an umbrella, and that was that. And so when I would bring her home just in time for curfew for the ladies' dorms, the bald-headed computer programmer student, who was much shorter, was there waiting with his daily bouquet of flowers for her. But she had chosen me, until I decided not to pursue it any further, because I thought she was too good for me. And so yes, I saw in the flyers that they were getting married. So I hope that guy understands how much he owes me. And he better have treated her nice. So I then married Stephanie, and she took me to Canada. And of course, don't regret, even though she abandoned me, because my kids are so cute. Their big bright eyes, and the girls with the long, wavy, lush hair. But didn't get to spend much time with them, as so if you're familiar with the country song where she sings, he's 2 and she's 4 and you know they adore you. So that's always a trigger song that brings me to tears. But yeah, I come to Utah and get abandoned, and then I go and present my Paleo-Hebrew discovery to the church, and the church blacklists me in secret. I'm put on their blacklist, troublemaker file 36434. Because how dare I? Only the president of the church is a translator, even though we don't announce it in conference. That was the one thing that Brigham Young didn't take with him from Joseph. He just wanted prophet, seer, and revelator. He didn't want translator. Want nothing to do with translation. So yeah, David O. McKay knew nothing about translation when the Egyptian papyri came back. Hugh Nibley, can you take care of this for me? Thanks. You're the man for the job. And Hugh Nibley blew it as the Egyptologist came in. But I figured it out. It was easy. After I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, the Egyptian petroglyphs were easy to decipher. And so, yeah, I knew exactly what Joseph was doing. And that's how I made my discovery that, hey, the Bible comes from the Egyptian documents as well. Lo and behold, I was with a group of others who were already working on that. And I'm the only one left standing to do that work and to carry it on. But the church wanted nothing to do with it. They had other plans in mind. And so, yes, in 2008, I became a Benedai. And so I got out 2014 by a miracle. I wasn't supposed to get out. And sure enough, 2014, the moon started turning to blood. And I was going, hey, And the first one came and went. Nobody died in the church. Second one came and went. Nobody died in the church. What's going on here? I don't understand. Third one, the morning of Saturday conference, comes around. And then after that, boom, 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 3 die in the church. I went, oh crap, this is it. And then nothing until Fox 13 News Utah announces on the 4th of November 2016, hey, there's going to be a total solar eclipse on the 21st of August 2017. And that just happens to be President Monson's birthday. And it just happens to be the Egyptian New Year on the Egyptian religious calendar. Not a coincidence. Boom. This is it. We're in it. As I talk to a patriarch in the ward here, he says, oh yeah, everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world and it never happened. You're a patriarch. Don't you get revelation to tell the people what they're going to be doing in this final Armageddon? And so, yeah, the bishop attacked me because I was pursuing Egyptian and Paleo-Hebrew, because only the president of the church can do it. How dare you, Travis? And so I was forced to do the lawsuit, as I found the church had been paying for the person who got me locked up in 2008 for 6 years of my life and got me put here. They were paying her. And she got caught because she was advertising that she's been being paid. And so then I notify the judge, hey, the church is paying the person. The defendant is paying the person. And so after that, guess what the church does? They cover it up. And so, yeah, they lost. And the church is over with, technically. It's just, who's going to enforce it? Who's going to give me my request for relief? Church is technically mine. I came home on the 4th when I got the receipts. I filed them. And was passing by the churches. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. And then the next day, Trump was acquitted. Destruction of the church, destruction of America. The coup d'etat complete. And not a single Mormon, other than me, I guess, but I'm just a warning voice. I can't do anything on my own. Nobody stepped forward to save the Constitution, as now the Constitution is destroyed. Because Trump has rewritten the Constitution with his Sharpie pen. Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. Oh, you're a king. Okay, got it. sovereign. Yep, that's what that sovereign means. King, monarch. That's what Hitler was. He ran as a socialist in the Socialist Party. And then he became the winner and then altered the presidency as time went on. And it became the Nazi Party of fascism. And so even though it was a party with others in government, he was the king. And so people in our day and age, they love to play the definition mind game. Oh, well, this means this. It's not really technically this, and we've changed the definition of this to be this. That's all part of the misinformation and disinformation campaign. That's what you start with in a war. The art of war. You don't go in guns blazing. You're going to lose your guys. You don't want to lose your guys. You want to build up your army and make them powerful and strong. And you don't want to have them murdered in the war that you cause. And so what you do is infiltrate the enemy. And then have those spies spread misinformation and disinformation. We've got the computer. So the Russians did both. They sent Russians to America, and they had their intelligence on the computers, all on social media. And that was just the beginning phase. And then they divided America. They put Trump in power. And now we're changing. We're no longer the Germany we used to be. We're now fascist Germany. Nazi Germany. Exactly the same way. And nobody sees it because they're not suffering yet. I see it. I now have to pay more money with less money. I see it very clearly. Trump isn't helping me with his claims of the economy's better than ever. No, not for me. Made it worse for me. So I don't know if any of you have seen that, or if you're just refusing to accept it. Farmers saw it as Trump went on the tariff spree, which was for the sole purpose so that we would not sell oil and gas to China anymore, and that Putin could then step in and say, hey, I want to build pipeline and we will sell gas and oil to you. Deal. Now he's gone over to the other country and did it with Iran and Syria. Yep. Trump is Putin's puppet. And I've been warning about it the whole time. Not just the government, but the church. And instead you guys want to give me thumbs down and dismiss me and want to have me murdered. Yeah, Mormons wanting to murder me. That was on the other channel. Not so much on this new one that I've done. My website, yes. Website also attempts to murder me. An Islamist, a fundamentalist Islamist, threatened my life on this channel. So, yeah. Alrighty. I guess this is the end. My final video. So, I did what I was inspired to do. Warn the people. And unfortunately, nobody believes. That's the sad part. And if there are any of those who do believe, you apparently are not in a position like me to do anything about it. So, Alrighty. I hope some of us survive, because the earth will be wasted at the Lord's coming. Just as Ether recorded the entire destruction of his people, just as Moroni recorded the entire destruction of his people, so I have recorded the entire destruction of my people. And that's probably the saddest of all. Farewell, or brethren, adieu, if you saw my video discussing that.